When Monkey came to school, it was a perfect sunny afternoon at Willowbrook Village, and the students of Willowbrook Primary School were enjoying their lunch break on the playground. The grass was green, the air was warm, and the sound of children's laughter filled the air. It was an ordinary lunch hour for most, but as Albert sat under the old oak tree, it would soon turn into an extraordinary event. Albert, a quiet boy with glasses, was one of the many students sitting cross-legged on the ground, carefully unpacking his lunch. His lunchbox contained a delicious ham sandwich, an apple, some chips, and a small piece of homemade chocolate cake. Albert had spent the morning looking forward to this lunch, and now he was ready to enjoy it in peace, away from the bustling noise of the classroom. However, little did Albert know, his peaceful lunch would be interrupted in the most hilarious way possible. Up in the trees surrounding the schoolyard, a small monkey had wandered far away from his troop in the nearby forest. Monkey was mischievous, curious, and always looking for a new adventure. Today, Monkey's curiosity had led him to the school playground, where he caught sight of a scene he couldn't resist. Dozens of kids sitting with food, laughing and chatting. Monkey's stomach rumbled as he peered down from a high branch. He saw Albert with his sandwich and couldn't resist the temptation. Without thinking twice, Monkey swung from branch to branch, closer and closer to the lunching students below. Albert, blissfully unaware of the incoming trouble, took a big bite of his sandwich, savoring the taste. But suddenly, a shadow fell over him. He looked up and froze. A small monkey with bright eyes and a cheeky grin was swinging through the trees above him. Before Albert could even react, the monkey launched itself off a branch, landing right next to his lunchbox. "Whoa!" Albert exclaimed, his sandwich halfway to his mouth. The monkey, completely uninterested in Albert's surprised face, grabbed the sandwich from his lunchbox and stuffed it into its mouth. Albert stared in shock as the monkey devoured his carefully prepared lunch with delight. "What the? Hey, that's mine!" Albert yelled, but the monkey wasn't listening. It was too busy munching on the sandwich like it was the best thing it had ever tasted. The commotion caught the attention of the other students, and soon, a chorus of gasps and laughter echoed across the playground. The children turned their heads, spotting the little monkey now perched on a nearby bench, finishing off Albert's sandwich. "Look, a monkey!" shouted Jimmy, one of Albert's classmates. The other kids immediately turned their attention to the monkey, watching in awe as it polished off the last bite of sandwich. Monkey, realizing he had an audience, turned to face them with a playful glint in his eyes. He wasn't shy at all. In fact, he seemed to be enjoying the attention. Albert, still a little stunned, stood up and pointed at the monkey. "Hey, get away from my lunch," he protested, but Monkey wasn't having it. The monkey swiftly leaped from the bench to a nearby tree, grabbing an apple from a lunchbox left unattended on the ground. The children erupted in laughter. Monkey was on a roll now, jumping from tree to tree, snatching bits of food from anyone who wasn't paying attention. A carton of juice was next, followed by a bag of chips and a whole slice of cake. Monkey was fast and cheeky, and he was on a mission to eat as much as he could. "Someone stop him," shouted Lily, as Monkey snatched the last of her fruit salad. But no one was upset. The children were laughing too hard to care. The monkey's antics were hilarious. Monkey would swing through the trees like a blur, landing in the middle of a group of kids, snatching food, and darting off before anyone could react. "Hey, Albert, he's eating your lunch." "Shouldn't you stop him?" laughed Jimmy. "I tried. I don't know how to stop him," Albert replied, still chuckling despite the fact that his lunch had been devoured by the tiny thief. The monkey, seemingly pleased with its success, paused for a moment, looking around at the children. There was a pause, as if Monkey was taking in the scene, realizing that he had gathered a whole crowd. Then, as if on cue, the children began offering their own snacks to the monkey. Some held out cookies, others offered chips or fruit, all hoping to share in the fun. Monkey hesitated for a second, then, with a grin, accepted a small apple from a giggling boy named Sam. "He likes the food," shouted Lily. "Quick, give him more." One by one, the students began offering food to the little monkey. Monkey wasn't shy anymore. He eagerly took a bite of whatever was handed to him, showing his appreciation with a joyful squeak. The kids were now cheering him on, laughing and clapping as he enjoyed the lunch buffet they had unwittingly provided. "Don't feed him too much," warned Mrs. Taylor, a teacher who had come over to see what the fuss was about. But even she couldn't help but laugh at the sight of the monkey hopping around, gobbling up everything in sight. "This is the most fun lunch break ever," shouted Peter, one of the older boys, as Monkey swung from one tree to another, looking for more snacks. "I never thought I'd see a monkey in school," said Olivia, holding out a granola bar. "But I guess it's the best guest ever." As the children fed the monkey, the chaos continued. But it was all in good fun. No one seemed to mind the mess. Even though some of the lunch boxes were now empty, their contents scattered across the playground. The kids were delighted. Monkey was the star of the show. Meanwhile, the school principal, Mr. Jenkins, had been alerted to the commotion. He walked over to the playground, taking in the sight of dozens of children laughing and cheering around a small monkey who had somehow become the center of attention. "Good heavens," he muttered, looking at the scene with disbelief. He spotted Mrs. Taylor, who was trying her best to keep the students calm. "I think we need to get him back to the forest," Mr. Jenkins said, rubbing his temples. "We can't have a monkey running loose during school hours." Mrs. Taylor nodded. "I think you're right. But how are we going to get him out of here? He's having too much fun." "Well, I'll call the forest rangers," Mr. Jenkins said. "They'll know what to do." As Mr. Jenkins called the local forest officials, Monkey was still having the time of his life, hopping around, taking food from the children's hands. But as the phone call ended, the situation took a turn. The forest rangers, a couple of men in uniforms, soon arrived with a large cage and a box of bananas. They approached the playground cautiously, knowing that a monkey as energetic as Monkey might be difficult to catch. The children, however, were having none of it. "Don't take him. We love him," shouted Lily. "We want him to stay," echoed Jimmy. But Monkey, ever the adventurer, was now starting to tire of the attention. With a final leap from the top of a tree, he landed near the cage, sniffing the bananas. The forest rangers quickly placed the cage in front of him, and after a few moments of sniffing, Monkey finally stepped inside, attracted by the food. "Well, that was easy," one of the rangers said, laughing as he gently closed the cage door. Monkey gave a small grunt, then sat down in the cage, nibbling on the bananas. He seemed content. The children let out a collective sigh, both disappointed and relieved. They had loved having the monkey around, but they also knew that he belonged back in the forest. "Say goodbye to Monkey," Mr. Jenkins called out, waving at the students. The children waved back, some with tears in their eyes, but they understood. The forest rangers carried Monkey away, back to the woods where he belonged, and the students returned to their lunch boxes, their faces still glowing with excitement from the afternoon's events. "That was the best lunch break ever," Albert said with a grin, picking up his lunchbox. "I'll never forget the day the monkey stole my sandwich." As the bell rang and the students returned to class, they couldn't stop talking about the monkey who had stolen the show and the lunch. And from that day on, Monkey's legendary visit to Willowbrook Primary School became the story the kids would always tell when they remembered their school days. The day the monkey came, stole their food, and made them laugh until their sides ached.